Broadcasting from the basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey, Joe Archino back here. And after 5 weeks in the NFL, it's really easy to kind of get your head wrapped around a little bit of everything and get a good feel for almost every team, every player. But I think one of the guys that it's easy to look past because of the record, because of the team, and because of the young nature of them. But when I look at Marcus Mariota and what he's done with the Titans so far this season, I can't help but be very, very impressed. And obviously, we saw his counterpart where he was drafted last season, number 1 overall. Marcus Mariota drafted 2 right behind him. Jameis Winston get a big win on the road against the Panthers. But when I look at Mariota, and I think it's amazing, their first game they played against each other. But I was always more of a Mariota guy, and obviously Marcus got hurt last season, so he wasn't able to finish his rookie campaign. But when I look at Marcus Mariota and the growth and the poise that he continues to show, again, it just re-emphasizes what I thought about him coming into the NFL. And the most important thing to me that I've seen from Marcus Mariota this season is his strong fourth quarter play. Now, you go up and down the Titans' schedule so far this season, they're 2-3. And obviously, with a record like that, you would say, well, there's not too much to really have that's substantial there. But I think more than anything with Marcus, it's the strong play. I mean, they have not been blown out in any game. His weakest game was by far week 1 against the Vikings. But after that, I mean, I'm talking about a come-from-behind win against the Lions, almost pulling off a win against the Raiders. And the Raiders, to be honest, really might be, you could make the case that they're the best team in the NFL right now. You really could. I mean, the direction they're in, the road wins they've been able to pull off. Derek Carr has probably been the best quarterback in the league, and he was able to almost pull off a win against the Texans. He puts up points. They're not able to get it done, but again, a strong fourth quarter, and then again, they are able to beat the Dolphins, who quite frankly I think are the worst team in the NFL. But nonetheless, Marcus is 20 of 29 in that game, 3 touchdowns. He does it with his legs. He does it with his IQ. Now, the one knock that I think you do have to put on him is, of course, he has been turnover prone this season. 5 interceptions to his 7 touchdowns. But to me, the reason that doesn't worry me as much as you would think is because at Oregon, we know Marcus Mariota was more of a system quarterback, and he didn't really throw a lot of interceptions as a result of that. So to me, because he was in that system type of offense, now he's got a lot more free reign. He's got a lot more options. At his disposal, he's able to do things now that he didn't have the freedom to do at Oregon. And that's going to make him, with a curious guy like he is, a guy who trusts in his arm like he does, who has the ability to make plays like he does, he's now got so much more options on the table, he's going to experiment a little bit more. And that's why I like that he's throwing these picks now, because he's such a guy who is going to look at the tape, see what he's doing wrong. He's always been the type of player to really, really have a great self-awareness of his game, where he needs to improve, how he's going to get better. At Oregon, I saw game after game. If he had a weak part in his game the week before, you know he came back the next week and he tried to address that immediately. And for a guy like him who's still so young, and let's be honest, Mike Mularkey is certainly not the long-term favorite there to be the head coach. They're going to move in a different direction. I don't know when, but I hope sooner rather than later, because the thing I think you have to worry about, and all you need to do is stay in that AFC South division, is look at what the Indianapolis Colts are now. This is a team right now that is just struggling in almost every phase. I don't care if they're playing in England overseas or if they're playing right here in the U.S. The Colts are fundamentally flawed from the front office down, from Gregson at the GM, from Pagano head coach, from the offensive line to the defensive line. Everywhere on the Colts, they are lacking in every area except for quarterback. And the Titans are not too far from that. I think when you look at them, maybe not as much uncertainty at the GM position in Tennessee, but certainly at the head coach position, and then outside of that, there is a lot to be really that needs to be improved. Now, we saw the Titans try to address the offensive line a little bit in the draft and in the free agency, and I think certainly that's a good place to go. You need to keep Marcus Mariota upright. He wasn't able to finish his rookie season, which is obviously a big problem. And Andrew Luck is dealing with that now. I mean, against the Bears, he was getting hit left and right, and the Colts just barely are able to squeak by and get that win. But it just speaks to how important the line is in the NFL. It's so easy to get caught up in the flash and to try to build outside of the football, really trying to address and get the big name receivers, big name running backs, big name skill position players. But really, the smartest teams draft from the offensive line and then they build outside of that. And I think you look at the Dallas Cowboys right now as a perfect example. Dak Prescott's been tremendous, but Dak Prescott is not really making a lot of high volume throws down the field, consistently beating people. The Cowboys have the most rush attempts, the most rush yards, basically lead in every single rushing category. And Ezekiel Elliott's been tremendous. Alfred Morris has done some great things, but that speaks to how good that offensive line is. Dak Prescott's life has been made so easy, and his transition into the NFL has been made so easy because of how good that offensive line is. You can't really name a lot of big hits that he's taken. And when he has a running game behind that all, well, it just makes his job so much easier. And I think with Mariota, it's a similar thing where this is a guy who's got tremendous athleticism. He's got the size. He's got the poise at the line, which he showed in game one. To me, I looked at Carson Wentz this season in his first game against the Browns, and I looked at Marcus Mariota, his first game against the Buccaneers last season. And to me, the two things that was so easy to identify right away about the two of them was the poise they showed in the pocket, the poise and the command they were able to display at the line. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to say to a bunch of guys who've been in the league a lot longer than you have and try to command their respect right away and tell them what to do. But that's just the nature of the game. When you're the quarterback, that's your responsibility. Wentz was able to do it. Mariota was able to do it. And I think to start off that early, you only build from there. And certainly Marcus Mariota this season, to me, with the biggest being his strong fourth quarter play, I think he's showing that tremendous growth. But the Titans, certainly, again, they can't become what the Colts are now. It's so easy to get starstruck and say, look where we are now, we're close. And the Colts really never were close. The Colts and they still do have a once-in-a-generation type of quarterback, but they have not adequately surrounded him with talent. And now I think more than ever, it's becoming so evident. The offensive line is in shambles. He does not have a running game. He does not have big-time receivers. I mean, you could say what you want about guys like T.Y. Hilton, but they're just not what it takes to win consistently and to win meaningful games consistently. And I think outside of that, of course, on the defensive side of the ball, name me a couple playmakers for the Colts. You'd be very hard-pressed to do so. And with the Titans, they're in a similar situation, although they're not quite at the Colts level yet. They did a good job this offseason, obviously drafting Derrick Henry, bringing in DeMarco Murray, take some pressure off Mariota, let him run the ball more. That's where it's really going to help ease him into it a little bit more. But they still need to continue to do a good job at surrounding him with talent. From the wide receiver to the tight end, he certainly doesn't have a lot of great options to work with there. And obviously, a tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. But there's still time to do these things. And I think as long as the Titans are aware and they realize what the Colts are doing wrong right now and what the Colts are in danger of never doing anything significant, the worst thing that you do is when you are able to get that once-in-a-generation type of talent, but you can't win because you're not surrounding with the talent. The Cavaliers, it almost happened to in basketball. The Cavaliers let LeBron James get away because they weren't surrounding him with adequate talent, with adequate coaching, with adequate everything he needed to win. And he left it because of it. Now, they're lucky he came back because they started to do those things and they learned when he left what they did wrong. And now everyone is happy as a result of it because he won the title, he came back, everybody's happy now. But the Colts certainly are going in a direction where Luck obviously signed the big deal, but I think they're in major jeopardy of never doing anything significant because right now they're in a very bad hole. They just need to overhaul almost everything. They need a strong head coach. They need a stronger GM who gets along with that head coach. And look, I love Pagano. I think he's a fighter. He's done a lot of tremendous things. But to me, you could just see it's very evident that he just doesn't have a firm grip over this team. And against the biggest coaches, even when the Colts were playing better, it was very easy to see how much he was being outcoached. But to me, the Titans have work to do. There's still time to do it, but right now it's just continuing to learn, continuing to grow, and continuing to surround Marcus Mariota with the talent that he needs, because he has really done some nice things this season, and I really am looking forward to seeing how he continues to build and grow off of what he's done so far. Only 5 weeks in, though, much more football left to be played. Until the next time, Jersey, Joe Archino, here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll catch everybody in the next episode.